Hello, welcome to the first of what I hope will be many videos where I talk to scientists, educators and science communicators. Today I'm being joined by Ashley Gary, aka the wildlife host. Hello Ashley, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really glad we could get to do this. Hi, thanks for coming in. So you describe yourself... yeah, no worries at all. You describe yourself as a wildlife communicator and educator. What sort of things does that involve? What do you sort of do to further that program?
Well, okay, this is something that I just started basically on my own last year because I love wildlife and I love talking to people about wildlife. So, I just started small. I didn't really have any sort of budget to do anything. So I just started with social media. I had an Instagram for many years and I just decided, you know what, I'm going to make a wildlife Instagram and I'm going to talk about, nature and animals. And, it just kind of started just like that. And I didn't really go in with much of a plan. I didn't know what kind of content that I would have for people. I was actually pretty nervous because I didn't know what I was going to do. I was like, is anybody going to follow me? Like what, how am I actually going to do this? And so, I kind of had to brainstorm. At first, it was just kind of, me going out to the parks and being with friends and going to the parks with them and any kind of animals that I might see. And then I got this idea to say, oh my gosh, there are on Instagram so many people who do wildlife photography. There's, a ton of people who do wildlife photography, professionals and amateurs. And so I'm like, they have all this content out here. Why don't I ask them, can I showcase what you're doing? People love to be featured. People love to be recognized for the work that they do. And I recognize that wildlife photography is hard. It is not an easy task.
I've tried a little bit, just sort of I do out my little videos and things, but the wildlife they doesn't want to hang around and wait for you to take pictures of it. It's really hard.
It's extremely difficult. Yes, you with the person you can direct them. You say, stand like this, pose like this, it'll be fine, and I can get your angles. And the birds outside, they're not going to stop for you to get the right angle for them. So not at all. So it's really difficult. And so I wanna highlight all of that work that they put into it, especially the amateurs, because they're likely not going to get paid for any of these pictures. They're just doing it because they love it. So I reach out directly to these photographers and I ask them for their permission to use their photography on my page. And I started the daily wildlife pick. And that series ran for just about a year. I just finished that one. And I would do different themes every week. Feather week. I've had marine mammal week, Africa week, all across the world, all different sorts of themes, where I'm just highlighting all these different species that people, may or may not have seen before. It depends on just exactly how, I guess, into wildlife they are, if they've seen it before. But a lot of people I've noticed really hadn't seen this wide variety of wildlife that is out there. And, it was really fun for them to see and really interesting for them to see. And a lot of people who didn't have people to talk to about wildlife, there's a lot of people who spoke to me saying, wow, I love your page, because I really can't talk to anybody about wildlife because other people don't like animals in the same way as I do. And, I'm not open book. I'm like, yes, I love animals. Talk to me about it all day.
I'd certainly agree with you on that. It's really difficult to kind of find people on the same kind of level, the same kind of passion that you have. I hope to find that with... I'm trying to do wildlife gardening at the moment, so I'm trying to make my garden into a kind of a wildlife haven and leave it to grow wild, to try and attract the insects, attract the birds, all that sort of thing. And other people are looking at it thinking, oh, that's a mess, you need to get the lawnmower out and that sort of thing. And it seems to be a bit of an uphill struggle to kind of say, no, it's not a mess, it's wild. And to try and get people to see things on the same kind of level as you, it's such a challenge. So the Instagram that you have is to kind of to get these pictures out there so people can see these things, and I think that's a really great thing to do.
Yeah, and so it's kind of expanded now, and now I'm on Twitter as well, and I'm on different kind of polls and quizzes for people just to have fun. You know, there's no grading, there's no anything. You know, if you're right, you're right, you're wrong, you're wrong. It's just to have fun and to get people educated about the things that are out there around them, learn something new every day.
Yeah, that's great. Have you always been interested in wildlife? Is this like a childhood thing? You've just always been wanting to do something like that?
Oh my goodness. Okay. I don't know a lot of things for certain in life, but one of the few things that I've known is that I love wildlife. Ever since I was a child, I have loved animals. You know, the animals I see outside, the domesticated animals, all sorts of pets. But what really got me into it was just seeing it on TV. You know, National Geographic specials. You know, I remember, you know, looking at the TV guide and trying to see, is something going to come on? Is there going to be a Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom? Like, what's going on? Or, oh, of course, the BBC. Oh my gosh, y'all have the best documentaries ever.
Yeah.
David Attenborough is like, he's like my hero.
Oh yeah,
oh my God.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I remember when I was a child, me and my friends my friend had like a wall of VHS videos, sort of showing my age here, full of David Attenborough documentaries and things. And after school, we'd come back and we'd put them on and we'd watch them, especially the ones about dinosaurs, that sort of thing. So we just used to love all that kind of stuff as a kid. Yeah.
Yes, I love it still as an adult. Like,
oh well, yeah, of course.
Oh my gosh, it's like he can do no wrong. I just love everything that he does, and he is just such a great inspiration to me. And you know, I wasn't really sure what I would do with wildlife. I didn't know whether or not this was just a hobby or was it something that I wanted to make into a career. You know, even up until last year, most of my professional work has been in the nonprofit space, kind of dealing with science communication or dealing with wildlife for the most part. But like doing it myself and kind of taking ownership of it is a new thing for me. And I love it. And it all came from being inspired from childhood. You know, I didn't travel really when I was a child. Around the States a little bit on the Eastern Seaboard, but no international travel or anything like that. I saw it on TV and I was whisked away every time they would go to the savannah or they would go to the jungles, anywhere, the tundra. I was just into it. I was like, oh my goodness, like look at how nature is over here. Look at the animals. How can they survive in these conditions? And just, to me, that is just, it's amazing to watch, because life, no matter what type of species you are, life is hard. Life is difficult. And there's so many things that you have to do just to survive and to thrive in this world. And I just enjoy seeing all the different ways that animals do it, because, they're all different. They're all interesting, and they're all valuable just intrinsically.
Yeah, I mean, it's that sort of sense of wonder that really gets people interested, and those sort of documentaries and things really kind of bring that to life, I think.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to talk a bit about your social media. That's obviously what your main platform at the moment. You've got an Instagram account, you've got a Twitter account, and that's how I first saw you, was on Twitter. I think you were part of a sort of a video response to the Discovery Channel. So I think this was back at beginning of April. Discovery Channel released a promo video, sort of showcasing their sort of science and adventure programs sort of coming up on their channel, called "The World Is Ours." And this video basically was just full of men blowing things up and wrestling sharks or whatever. I believe there was one woman briefly walking past wearing a bikini, and that kind of it started up a bit of an uproar with the sort of female science community, and a bunch of female scientists got together and made a sort of response video, and which is, you were part of that. How does that come about? Tell me a little bit about how that happened.
Well, I mean, it was not my idea. Sarah Maxack, she loves quiz on Twitter, and she came up with this idea to do this kind of, response to it, because, that's crazy. How do you talk about Discovery Channel and all these different ranges of the sciences, and the only woman that you can find is, a bikini-clad woman that is on the screen for half of a second. Yeah. And then to claim that the world is yours, and essentially just say it's a man's world. This world is for everybody, and it's important for people to see and for little girls to see that this world also includes them, and that there are people who are doing it right now that they can look up to, and they don't have to feel like, they're boxed out of this world, that STEM is, for men only. This is, it's for everybody.
Yeah,
and so, they picked to do Eve's song, Let Me Blow Your Mind, which is a great song to do with it. And, I was just asked by some of the people who are participating, like, oh, do you want to do this? And, I'm like, yeah.
yeah.
Yes, I do want to do that, because I do so strongly. I have 2 daughters, and, I don't know what they want to grow up to do yet. They're still young, 5 and 3, but I want them, if they love science, if that's what they decided they like to do, I want them to feel like that is a welcoming world for them. And I want them to see that there are so many other women who are doing it too, and that they can look up to. And so I just said I wanted to be a part of it. So I did my little clip. I mean, it was nothing spectacular, but but I sent in my little part to be in it, and I'm so happy that I was a part of it, because I think that, sometimes you have to say things. You can't just always let things, go under the rug. You have to be able to use your voice and say that, this isn't going to cut it. This is 2019. You're not going to, not include half of the world's population.
That's a big thing.
In your
I
advertising.
mean, because I work in a school, in a science department in schools, and they're always talking about trying to get girls into STEM, and so they're putting on sort of STEM clubs, sort of specific for girls, to try and get them interested, because the girls can be kind of intimidated when there's a lot of boys show up. I mean, I personally run an after-school robotics club. And one of the things that we did when I first started was to say, okay, it was girls only, and we had this little group of girls who were lovely, sweet. I was turned up, and they said that they never would have come if it had been open for boys as well, because they'd been sort of too afraid of being in a big old club with the boys and things. So I think things like that, you got to open the door, I think, and say, you know what, this is for everybody. Yeah. Get involved, and I also think that there probably are a lot of girls who they already want to get into STEM, but just like this are kind of put off because they believe it's maybe a male-dominated world, and there's kind of there's got to be sort of ways to sort of address that, I think.
Yeah, exactly, because I mean, historically it has been male-dominated, but there have always been women who have been in that sphere. They were not recognized. So we're in a time where we are going to recognize the efforts of both men and women, and we're not going to put anybody down as well. It happens, but we're going to try our best to fight that from happening, and to create these spaces where people feel comfortable enough to do what they enjoy. I mean, it's so disheartening to think that there are people who could have cures for diseases, or think of these great inventions, and if they're coming from the mind of a little girl and she just doesn't feel comfortable to even try these things because she feels like, oh, I'm not a boy, or I'm not smart enough for this sort of thing, that is really a travesty, because we're all trying to work towards the betterment of everyone else. And you really can't do that if you're not including a major slice of the population. This has to be an inclusive type of process. I mean, all the different perspectives are really what gives us all these great ideas and lets us, push ahead with our technologies and do so many great things. But it comes from collaboration. It comes from all these different people. It doesn't come from just one certain set of folks kind of driving society. We're all a part of society, and we should all be working towards the betterment of it. And that means including people on purpose. Even if other people don't want to, you have to force that. You have to say, we're not going to do it that way anymore. We're going to change. So that was my itty bitty way of trying to say that this is a different world. And, if you're a female and you love STEM, love it, be in it, be proud of it, be your cheerleader, and promote your work. Don't worry about when other people want to act like it's just a male-dominated world. You put yourself out there. So they didn't want to include us, so we just made our own stuff. And we were seen by so many different people, and it made an impact on people. So that's really what we were going for. And I'm glad we were successful in that.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a sort of a far-reaching video, and I think it sort of reached out a lot of people, and a lot of people sort of identified with that. So, I mean, as well as sort of gender discrimination, I mean, do you possibly also face discrimination due to the color of your skin? I mean, you live in Atlanta, Georgia, right? Am I right in saying that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know a huge amount about the place, other than that's where they film Walking Dead. That's about as much as I know about it, obviously. But from what I understand, there's sort of a bit of a checkered past with regards to its stance on race relations. I think in 1956, it changed its state flag to heavily feature the Confederate battle flag. Sort of widely considered a symbol of white supremacy. This was replaced in 2003, I think, with a design based on the stars and bars, which is another Confederate flag, which some people say is replacing one white supremacy symbol for another one. I mean, has this sort of affected you, or sort of anybody you know in any kind of way? Is this something that you have to deal with?
Well, in my own personal life, it hasn't. I've only been in this sphere for a little bit of time, and for me, it has been very welcoming, and I'm very grateful for that experience, because that's not the experience that everybody else has.
Yeah.
I do that, especially in the eyes of a woman or as a person of color, you know, in so many different regards, just getting your work funded, or just having it seen and respected, or just kind of just how people treat you sometimes. So it can be, it's not always a pleasant experience. It's not always an easy experience, but so many people soldier through it because they want to be that representation for others, to let them know that they can do it, that this is possible, that despite how others may want to treat you or what they might think about you, what you're doing is important. And it's important enough to say, forget you, forget everything that you're about. If it's negative, I'm still going to do me. I'm still going to, you know, do this important work. And I think that all the work in wildlife is so important. This is our world that we have. I mean, everything is interconnected. And so we have so many people researching different things. Just on Twitter, I've met different people like, Afro Herper, she is studying in Arizona. She does, of course, herpetology. Then we have Science with Caius, and, you know, he was just studying jaguars, and he recently graduated from UVA. Jason Ward, New York. He's into birds. It's all these faces that are not, they're Black people. They're not typical faces that you would see in association with wildlife in America or in the fields of wildlife in America. But, you know, they're all making their marks. And I think that we're all trying to make our marks and be seen, just to be that representation for other people, and to also have that diversity that I was talking about before, because all of those different perspectives, they're just things you don't think of sometimes that you would only get if you've only had certain experiences. So you have to have everybody coming together and working together. And sometimes, yes, that discrimination does happen based on gender or based on ethnicity, or sadly, the intersectionality of it happening because of both of them, among other things, of course, like identities. But you know, this is America, so this is kind of what has been happening, and, you know, we can just try to make it better. We can try to soldier through it. We can try to create the world that we want it to be. It may not be a perfect world that we're living in now, but every effort helps, and everyone that I know is very dedicated to helping everyone who wants to participate in these spheres to be able to do it. So, I mean, that's my purpose too. That's a major reason why I'm here. I want to be able to show people of color that if you like animals, if you like wildlife, if you like going outside, it's perfectly normal. There are other people like you who like to do it too. And you don't have to kind of feel like isolated. I mean, I felt very isolated because I didn't know people who liked wildlife. I didn't know people who liked to go outside and just be outside. They just didn't. They were like, you know, shut the door so the mosquitoes don't get in. They were not trying to go outside with me. They're like, forget that. You can go out there by yourself. And so I like to try and create that community for people. And I mean, it's not just for people of color. It's really for everyone. I don't discriminate against anyone. I want everyone to participate in it because I think that this world belongs to everybody. And, you know, it's not one demographic who can claim anything. We're all dependent on, you know, all these species working together to keep our world healthy, and we have to do our part. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to do by teaching people about the wildlife, because I personally feel like you can't feel like you have a stake in whether it matters about what's happening to these wildlife populations or the habitat if you don't know anything about it. If you don't know anything about it, why is it even a concern? I mean, it just won't be. There's so many different things that people have to deal with in their lives on an everyday basis that things they don't know much about is not even going to be on their radar. So I'm just here to put it on their radar so they can make more informed choices for themselves. Because at the end of the day, I can't make anybody do anything, but I can just try to educate them and try to kind of tell them how I feel about things. And, you know, if they align with it, they align with it. And I'm really happy for that. And if all they come away with is, you know, knowing more about animals, then I'm happy with that too. But hopefully I'll inspire some people to just go a little bit further than that. Maybe if it's just signing a petition to say that, no, you know, I don't want this to turn into an apartment complex. Let's keep this as a forest, if it's something like that. Or if they decide they want to give some money, you know, to an organization that is doing, you know, field work or policy work, because policy is also incredibly important. Then I love that too. There's so many different ways that people can help. So, you know, if I can just inspire them to do just one of many things, I mean, maybe they'll do more than one thing, but that's kind of why I'm here. And, you know, that's what I'm trying to do. And especially for people of color to see it too, so they can feel like they can participate in this as well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the important thing is just, I mean, all people like me and you can do is get the information out there and hope people take it on board. And because so wildlife, nature, the climate is going to affect everybody, no matter what, who, social status, the color of the skin, the sexual orientation, the gender, it affects everybody the same. And I think, you know, you have to get this kind of the information out there, and it can kind of be, can be kind of a shame to see some people's sort of attitudes. I saw something recently where I forget who it was who did it now. It was an American TV show that they went out and they asked people, do you think Homo sapiens should be saved from extinction? And they just and to get a whole range of answers. People didn't even, you know, they were like, oh yeah, sure, maybe they should, you know, maybe we can do something about it. And but one answer that was just kind of sums up for me. One person said, well, I'm really sad that the Homo sapiens are going extinct, but I just don't care. And it's that kind of, but it's that kind of attitude that but even if you take out the kind of joke of saying that, you know, Homo sapiens are obviously humans, but if you replace that with any animal species, and someone says, oh, I'm really sad they're going extinct, but it's not really affecting me, I don't really care too much about it. And it's that attitude that I think we need to educate people on, and which is you know, obviously what you're trying to do on your platform, what I'm hoping to do.
Yeah, we have to explain, why does it matter? You know, I think that.
Oh, I think we've lost connection.
But it does. It does, and I think it's just that they don't understand how it matters. You know, they need someone to lay that out for them, because, you know, this might not be their interest, you know, and it doesn't have to be, honestly. Like, no one has to be super passionate about wildlife the way that I do. I don't expect that from people.
Of course.
But I would love for them to just know what's going on. I mean, we all live on Earth. Everyone should be aware of what's going on Earth and how all these things are connected and how it will affect you. You think it might not affect you? Oh, I'm a person, you know, I have my house, I have my car, I'll be good. No, that's actually not the case. You know, if we have all these animals dying, there's so many repercussions to that I think that a lot of people just don't realize, and they don't think that it's, either they think that, you know, maybe it'll happen really far out and maybe they'll be dead and gone, but the way it is, and the way it's trending, no, you won't be dead and gone. You'll be right here. watching it happen with
I
everybody
think that
else.
that could be a big thing. People sort of think, oh, the climate may be changing, but maybe it's, it's 100, 200 years in the future. I don't have to worry about that now. And I think maybe you need to kind of make people realize that no, it is changing now, and you do need to do something about it, I think. I mean, right. So recently we had the what was it called, the IPBES report, which stated that there was 1 billion species worldwide at risk from extinction. There was a whole load of statistics in that. There were so many endangered species. I mean, I think just a few weeks ago, I'm checking my notes here. The last male Sumatran rhino in Malaysia died. It was just a few weeks ago. Just leaving one female was left. I mean, there are other members that are still alive in Indonesia, I believe, but only about 80 individuals left worldwide. And these things kind of flies under the radar a little bit. People don't necessarily realize what's going on.
Mm-hmm. That's very true.
Did you sort of see some of these sort of summaries of the report of this thing? And I mean, what were your thoughts about sort of some of the things that they sort of said about?
Well, everything was up. That's kind of the work though with conservation, because it's an uphill battle, right? We've already done so much damage. It's not, a lot of the reports we're going to get out are not going to be positive things, and to know that half of the corals are dying, and a third of the marine mammals are threatened, and over 40% of amphibians, chytrid is going around. That's just a terrible disease. And just the land usage, using all these resources for agriculture, the way that the urban population is expanding and doubling, and there are so many layers to that report, and that was just the media release. That's not even the whole report. The report's going to be over 1,500 pages.
I mean, I only kind of sort of skimmed the summary. I mean, there's, I think, much more intelligent people than me need to sort of analyze that to get the full effect of it. I just kind of sort of skimmed it a bit, but I mean, I think that there's got to be ways to sort of to combat the sort of diversity loss and climate change that that people everywhere can do. I mean, I mentioned myself about doing the wildlife gardening, and there was an interesting statistic I think I heard that here in the UK, the number of people's gardens, the amount of land that it takes up, actually equals, or is it greater than the total amount of nature reserves in this country. So if everybody, if you just think about, if every house, there's a lot of houses in the world, and every house generally has a garden, might just be a tiny garden with a balcony with a few pots on it. There's a lot of land area that could be put to better use for wildlife, which is what I'm trying to do. And I think that's kind of sort of a shocking statistic. You sort of think about, well, that's a lot of land, and with so much land being taken over by agriculture and urbanization, people are paving over the gardens, concreting down so they don't have to cut the grass, that sort of thing. What I'm hoping is to try and sort of, this is an uphill battle. It's tiredness over nature, I think. People, because my front garden at the moment is a mess, and I know it is because I have weeds growing up through the cracks on the driveway. But I like it. I like it like that one. But it's a constant battle I have to fight with, like my wife or the neighbours, and sort of say, oh, you need to get rid of those weeds, get your mower out and stuff. And I'm like, no, I don't want to. And it's just kind of just trying to change people's opinions about. Does it have to look neat, or can you tolerate a little bit of weeds here and there and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think that wildlife gardening is such an amazing idea that people have come up with, because you're putting back these native plants, and you're essentially creating this habitat that has been taken over by lawns. Yeah. There's so many lawns, especially in America. Everyone has a lawn, and your lawn has to be cut very low. It has to be. People get this done every week. It's standard, but that is less habitat for all these animals. I mean, we're already crowding them out, in these urban areas, and then in the rural areas, that's all been converted to, farmland. Yeah. So it really makes a difference even if it's just a small garden, it really makes a difference, because that really helps the insects. That helps, mammals and birds and all sorts of different animals, reptiles, and like literally everything. And it's not really that much effort. I mean, honestly, to maintain to maintain a wildlife garden is a little bit less effort, honestly, than to cut your grass every week.
Yeah. Yes.
And to water your grass all the time.
Yeah.
And, it takes a lot of resources to keep that, that perfectly cut, green, lush grass. It's not natural, so you have to do a lot of unnatural things to keep it that way, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I can't understand it
it's hard, though.
Someone has like a square of grass with like no single weed on there, and no one's allowed to walk on it in case they mess it up and something. I just can't see the point of it. Why have this green square that you can't do anything with? It's
Exactly. It's like the the room in the house that your parents say, "Oh my God, you can't go in there. That's
yeah.
that's a room that's covered in plastic. You can't use this room." And it's kind of like, it's for show, but what exactly? But why?
Yeah.
Like, you can't actually functionally use this thing. So, I've always wanted to have like a meadow instead of a lawn. I've always wanted to have like a wildflower meadow or something.
Yeah.
Because it's so beneficial for the environment. And, there's not a ton of things that people can do, individually. A lot of things need to be done policy-wise. But that is something that you can do at the individual level that actually does really make a difference. Especially, as far as nesting and, when some birds are resident birds, they don't leave, and other birds are migratory. But now those patterns are being messed up, and there's more competition, and it's kind of making it crazy. And, if you're providing these food sources for them, it kind of alleviates a little bit of that for them, which is, it's the least we can do.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
We've done so much. So, it's such a great idea to do. And there are other things you can do as well. I advocate for people to clean up parks, clean up beaches, plant trees. In some areas, if you're very clean about it, bird feeders, it's important to be very clean and very conscious about what you're doing with those, because they do also attract other animals that you might not want. Like here, depending on where you are, it could attract bears and deer and all sorts of things. But on the other side, some of those birds really do need that supplemental. That's also something that is not a lot of work to do that actually does make an impact. Or just, supporting policies, support people who actually want to do things that are good for this world, or organizations that are out here doing good in the world. So there's a variety of ways that you can go and help. But I think that the wildlife gardening is so fun, because then you get to attract them all to your area and you can watch them all.
Yeah.
And that's just what I love.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting as you were saying about attracting bears to the garden. That's not something I need to worry about here in my country, because we don't have bears here. But that's something, because obviously in Atlanta and Georgia, there must be some different wildlife. I'm thinking alligators. There must be like alligators or something that I don't need to worry about here in the country. What sort of things can you sort of see? What were your sort of favorite animals that you like to go out and see that possibly might only be around your area?
Well, there are not alligators in Atlanta. There are alligators, though, in Georgia.
Yeah, that's probably what I was thinking. Yeah.
Further south.
Yeah.
Like the Okefenokee Swamp, then you can see them there. There are bears, like black bears. I'm not so sure that they are in the immediate greater Atlanta area, but I know in northern Georgia they do have it. So for me, when I go outside and I try to go out and look at animals on like a daily basis, I usually see a lot of birds, because I live in the city. But Atlanta has a lot of trees. It has a lot of natural spaces to be, in an urban area. So that's actually something I really love about this city. I'm actually from Maryland, very close to the nation's capital. And so it's different up there. And I've been down in Atlanta for going on a year now.
Okay.
And it's amazing to see all the different animals. So like the birds, some of them are the same, like northern cardinals, they are amazing. These little red birds and their little calls, and blue jays, I see them daily. Brown-headed nuthatches might be my favorite bird here. They sound like a rubber duck. And it's like the funniest thing ever.
Yeah.
I thought that there was like a child or a dog or someone playing with a squeaky toy.
Okay,
I was like,
yeah.
what are they doing with that toy? And then, I go outside and it's this itty bitty little tiny bird. And it's so sweet. It's just, I didn't even know they made sounds like that. So, it was funny and amazing to me. But there are also, a ton of snakes and salamanders, if you can find them. I can never find any salamanders. I go out there flipping rocks and, and I don't know, they're just like all hiding from me.
Yeah.
Of course, you see the gray squirrels. I love squirrels. I think squirrels are just the cutest things.
Yeah.
I just learned that, they make their little nests and they sound almost very similar to birds when they're doing their little bark. We have chipmunks out here, coyotes, foxes. I haven't seen any gray foxes, but I have seen some red foxes. They were naturalized in this area.
Okay.
So there's a wide variety of wildlife here, and they get a lot of like shorebirds and migratory birds, and it's amazing to me. I mean, I moved to this area because I thought that they would have more wildlife down here, and they do. So like that makes me so happy. I go out every day and I'm just amazed at what I see, all these different types of woodpeckers. There's such diversity that I couldn't see back in my home state. Not that Maryland doesn't have anything. Maryland is a very diverse state, actually. Living so close to the city, there was just less to see in the immediate area. But, living in the city here, you can tell sometimes if you're in a city. It doesn't always feel like you're in a city, especially with some of the parks that are here. They don't feel like a city park. It feels like you're out in the middle of a forest, and it's really amazing. It's really calming, and it's really fun for me because you just never know what you're going to see. Yeah. Except for robins, you'll always see robins.
Well, that's one of the things that I love when if you just take a moment to look around and you constantly see things. I mean, I go out in my back garden and I can sort of see something that I've never seen before, like some sort of bug that's landed on a leaf or something. I think, oh, I've never seen that before. What is that? And it's just made me, I just wish I knew what everything was, and I just wish I could identify it. And I bought myself a little book of birds so I can kind of try and identify them. But I don't get a huge sort of variety in my garden yet. Just a few blackbirds and some robins and pigeons and that sort of thing. But
pigeons, I love pigeons. Oh my gosh, I have such a soft spot for pigeons because some people, they don't like them. They do not like the rock pigeon. They're like, oh, they're rats with wings, blah blah blah. No, they are super adaptable. That's why you don't like them, because they have said, I don't care if humans are going to live here or not. I'm still going to stake my claim, and I'm going to survive. And I have to respect that. I love it. They're super adaptable. I love the animals that can, still make their way in a world that we have really recreated in our own. So I love them. Oh my gosh, pigeons. Don't get me started.
Yeah. Okay, well, so let's talk about the future then. What are your sort of goals and ambitions? Where do you sort of hope to take this in the future?
Oh my gosh, where don't I hope to take this, honestly? I was just talking about this on Twitter just the other day about having so many ideas. I'm overflowing with ideas. There's so many things I would love to do with this. Like, I want to do wildlife tours because I think that it's important for people to have, individual experiences out in nature. I feel like that is very persuasive for people, to experience it themselves. A lot of people can't come around to certain ideas unless it has personally affected them. So I think that, if you get people out there, experience they've enjoyed, they don't have to go out all the thing for them, if that. But if it's memorable, that can make a lasting impression. You don't always have to do things a million times for it to, make an impression on people. Sometimes it's just done one time, and now they're hooked, or now it's important to them, or they see that value. So I really would love to start touring. That's why I'm learning all of the local Georgia wildlife, so that I'm knowledgeable enough that I'm not going out there like, look, a bird.
Yeah, that's what I'd be like right now. But
I know, but there's so much wildlife. There's so much snow, and this isn't Pokemon. I don't have a Pokédex. I can't just like, what is it? And it just tells me. I wish that would be that would be the best. There are some apps though, you know, that you can identify from pictures, like the Merlin Bird ID app, the Audubon app. So that can be extremely helpful, but no, there's no overall Pokédex, sadly enough. Maybe one day. Maybe,
I would love one.
Maybe that's what I'll do next. I'll put that on my list.
Yeah, make a Pokédex. Yeah.
Yes, for all the animals.
Yeah.
So there's just so many things that I want to do. You know, of course, in my name, the wildlife host, I want to host these wildlife shows. That is my biggest goal that I have, because as I said, you know, I'm so inspired by, you know, to David Attenborough, Jeff Corwin, Steve Irwin, you know, male dominated. but we can always change that. We can always have more faces to show that there are other people who want to do it. Like Danny Washington, she has a show. She's a marine biologist, so dealing with all the marine animals. She has I think another show. I can't think of the name right now, but you know, there's trying to be some changes. Stephanie Arn, I think her last name's Arn. I hope I'm not butchering it. Hosting Wild Kingdom for Mutual of Omaha. So we are starting to get some more diverse faces out there, and I want my face to be one of those faces that are out there, you know, to show people the wonders of the world. You know, a lot of people are not well traveled. I'm not well traveled, so don't even. I'm not yet. I will one day, but I'm not even well traveled yet. You know, a lot of what I see is from media. You know, from documentaries or things I see on the internet, and so I think that's an important first step. You know, maybe even just to get people interested in traveling, because maybe if you come from a family that nobody travels, it might not be, you know, in your mind that maybe I should get a passport. It probably won't be. Why would it be? No one ever even travels. Why would you have a need for such a thing?
Yeah.
But if I show you something that is really interesting, and, you know, Thailand, you might want to go to Thailand and see it. You might say, oh my gosh, I have to go see those monkeys for myself. Like, this isn't enough.
Yeah.
And so if you want to do it, and there's so many other things, you know, cultural things as well, that people might want to enjoy, and it could also be a gateway for that. There are a lot of things to enjoy about this world. So, you know, I would love to host shows and just explore all the different ways that life is manifested. I say that all the time because I'm really in awe of it. It's really, you know, it leaves me awestruck. Like, I just can't believe how many different species there are. Like, it's crazy to me. How in the world did all these different things evolve like this, and to take advantage of all of these different, you know, basically different worlds? You know, the animals that live under the sea live in a totally different world.
Yeah, that's true.
than what we experience on an everyday basis, and it's so interesting to learn about and interesting to see. And I love to share that with people. And, you know, I also want to make resources available to informal science educators, to science communicators, to teachers, because this is important, and this is not a job for one person to do. You know, this is a community effort for us to all become more educated on these subjects. So I want to be a source for people who want to say, okay, I want to teach this to other people. What can I do? How can I do it? I want to be a resource for them, so they can come to me and say, oh, okay, if I want to teach about wildlife, and I should go to the wildlife host because she has, you know, maybe lesson plans or things like that we can talk about, or citizen science experiments that they can participate in, or even if it's just, you know, an individual who wants to learn more. I want to have, you know, books available for sale, or things that are available to them so that they can enhance their own knowledge and take it as far as they would like to take it. And from there, I don't even know. I would just like to I want to become famous, but not famous just for fame's sake, but I think that you can use fame as a platform.
Yeah.
You can use that for doing good things.
Yeah.
And, you know, I love when I see celebrities using their platforms to do good things for the world. And I think that, you know, that is something I would love to do. If people, they want to follow me because they think I'm cool or something like that, all right, that's fine. I'm happy about it. But like, I want you to go out there and love wildlife. I want you to know about these things. So if it can make a difference, if it can get some people to go out to the beach and pick up some plastic, oh my gosh, that's huge to me. That I would have any sort of influence, you know, in anybody's life. So that's kind of what I'm going for, because I want to get people more engaged with everything that's around them. Because, like I said, this is our world, all of us, and we all have to be caretakers in it, and we all should know what's going on in it. We can't just let, you know, anything just happen to the place that we live, that our children live, that our, you know, future grandchildren live. Like, we have to make sure that this world survives. There, yeah. As everyone says, there's no planet B. We're not about to go to Mars, okay? Like, yeah. We're not about to ship off to another planet because we destroyed this. You know, that we don't want to destroy this one. We've done a lot of damage so far, so we have to. I mean, we can always change, though. I firmly believe in the power of change, and I think that it's not going to always be easy to inspire people to change, because, you know, you can't make anybody change. People have to be inspired internally to want to make that sort of change. But there are a ton of things we can do to get that information out to people, to kind of maybe spark that change, and or get them thinking about it, put it on their mind. You know, it might never have occurred to them, you know, how much land and water usage and fertilizer usage is necessary to, you know, raise cows. They may have only thought about cows as burgers, you know, and it never dawned on them. But it might be something that, you know, if they have more information on it, might take them aback, like, oh man, maybe we shouldn't be doing this, or maybe we should be reducing it. I mean, sometimes it's not a matter of you have to cut everything out. Sometimes it's just a matter of just reducing it, you know, little baby steps. I think that it's harder to sell people on dramatic change. A lot of people don't like change.
Yeah,
so
that's true. Yeah.
We kind of have to give them, you know, little bits and pieces, things that they can work with. You have to meet people where they are. Everybody's not ready to, you know, throw away their car and start taking the bus every day.
Yeah.
Everybody's not ready for that, and everybody doesn't want that. But you can give people all sorts of alternatives to make their own impacts in the world. So, you know, that's ultimately what I want to do. I want to empower people to take this world back for ourselves and for all the other inhabitants of this world, all these other species, so that, you know, we're not going to plunder anymore. We're going to make sure that everything, you know, has its rightful place here, and that we can exist in harmony, because, I mean, the world is old. The earth is billions of years old. Yep. It's been getting by, and we should not be the ones to mess it up.
Yeah, okay, I think that's a very important, very powerful message, isn't there? Okay, so I think what we'll do, I've got one more question to ask you. I think that I can let you go. So if you could go anywhere in the world to see the wildlife, where would you go?
Oh, to see the wildlife?
Yeah, to see them.
I've gotten this question about where would I go, because I have my vacation spots like all lined up. So where to see the animals? Oh my gosh. Okay. So it's hard because there's so many places. Okay, I have a question about your question.
Okay.
Is it like super, super realistic? Like, can I go like underwater, like, and just see things that I want to see, or like, you know,
yeah,
do I realistically have to?
No. If you go absolutely anywhere.
Absolutely anywhere. I have always had this love for the ocean and everything in the ocean, and especially the deep sea. And I think it's because we don't know a lot about it.
Yeah,
we don't really know what's down there. We really haven't explored very much of it. We explored 10% of the ocean, 10%
it's crazy,
of the world's ocean. Most of the world is made of oceans, but we have barely, you know, explored it. So I would love to go down there and just to see what's there. And they're going to be so different. And like, life is just so crazy down there. It's so amazing to me. So I would love to see what's down there. But if we were talking on land, I think I would just have to go to the Amazon. I think I just have to go there. It's the amount of diversity there, the abundance of life there is just it's crazy. I mean, I've been to Costa Rica before, and the amount of life there was like, oh my gosh, there was animals everywhere. It was like it was a dream.
Yeah.
It was a dream, and to think that there's even more animals in the Amazon, and things are. It's not the best situation right now in Brazil, so I would love to go there before anything might get kind of worse in that area. So yeah, I know, downer, but but I would love to see everything that's out there. It's oh my gosh, animals. That's like animal central right there. So I would love to see the Amazon if I had to go anywhere, terrestrial. But if we're talking about the ocean too, just put me down under, give me a submarine real quick. I'll explore, go find some new animals. There's so many animals down there. They're constantly discovering things because we have barely even explored it. So yeah, send me down there in a submarine, so I can discover, the Ashley fish.
Okay. Well, I'll see what I can do about that. Yeah. But, okay. Well, your enthusiasm and passion really shines through, and I think you've got a bright future ahead of you. So I want to say thank you so much for joining me, coming on and speaking to me today. It's been a real pleasure to talk to you. And I will.
Thank you so much.
No problem at all. I will leave all the links that people need in the description of this video. So at the Wildlife Host on Instagram, at the Wildlife Host on Twitter. You have a website. It's at thewildlifehost.com. Is that right?
Yes. The wildlifehost.com. I make it easy for you guys. If you know my name, you can find me anywhere.
Yeah. So so if you have any final words, say them now. If not, we'll say goodbye. And
I guess I just want to say, be kinder to the world around you. Just go out and explore and see what's there. Just take a walk in the park. It doesn't have to be anything difficult. You don't have to go climb Mount Everest. I don't want to climb Mount Everest. You can just go out and see what's around you, and just take some time to relax and enjoy it. That's just what I want people to do.
That's brilliant. That's a great message. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me today, and I wish you all the best for the future.
Thank you so much, Greg. This is so fun.